Learn about programs and services offered at the Cape May County Library, plus new branches coming to Cape May County. And also find out what you can experience the next time you visit the Cape May County Museum. That's all next on the Cape May County Report. Welcome to the Cape May County Report. I'm Lenora Bonafonte, Cape May County Communications Director, along with Freeholder Vice Director Susan Sheppard. And joining us now is Deborah Poillon, who is the Director of the Cape May County Library. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
The Cape May County Library is a wonderful facility in Cape May County. There are 7 branch libraries in the main library. Tell us about the mission of the Cape May County Library.
The old mission used to be we were pretty much focused on books and reference work and early child literacy. And we certainly do all of those things, but we have added things to that. We do a lot of programming now, and we do certainly many things with technology.
And I also think that the libraries of today are the community's living room. It's a place for people to gather, especially in the shore communities in the wintertime when there isn't the summer population. It's a place of a gathering point where you can read the daily newspaper, talk to your neighbor. It's like the old-fashioned general store.
It's so much more than books.
Absolutely.
And the idea for the need for all the services that the libraries provide has brought about growth in Cape May County in the library system. Freeholder Sheppard, I know right now you are working to bring forth 2 new branch libraries in Cape May County. Tell us where we are, the new branch library in Stone Harbor. What is the status with that?
In Stone Harbor, we're in the process of working with the Stone Harbor Council and trying to determine the location for the Stone Harbor Library. For many years, originally it was going to be placed on the beach, and we had some CAFRA permit issues. Now they'd like to just reevaluate and make sure that is the best spot, or if there's other locations that would be better. We've had 2 public meetings where we've had input from the public with reference to the location and what they'd like to see in the library. Once the location is determined, at that point we'll get together with a committee and Deb's experts will sit down and they'll determine exactly what they want inside the library, how many square feet it needs to be. We want to make sure that we don't repeat some of the mistakes in the other areas of the library. We want to make sure there's enough computers, because that's really a really big thing is computer programming and enough computer space. And you also want to have that feeling that it is a community gathering spot. So you want to make sure that inside the library there's the coffee bar and there's the periodicals and there's a place to read and gather.
Deb, what are some of the things that they're looking at in the Stone Harbor Library?
One of the things they've really been mentioning is they want it to feel like a living room. Someone you can come in, maybe even a fireplace, certainly some place to have a cup of coffee and some nice relaxing chairs. They want that, and they also certainly want enough room for computers. A lot of people bring laptops in now, and the library as it is now will be Wi-Fi. So some place that people can come and sit and relax. Plus, we also want room for programs. The library does a lot of programs, and that's something Stone Harbor has indicated that they would like as well.
Now, the library's latest branch that opened at the end of December is in Sea Isle City, and that's a state-of-the-art library. Tell us about that.
That has just taken off like gangbusters. We had over 1,000 people get library cards since it opened. We have about 1,000 people a month coming in the doors to go to programs there. The view is spectacular. The Cape May County Bird Observatory and New Jersey Audubon really helped us out and got us some great binoculars that patrons can come, look off the deck, look at the osprey nest and all the other wildlife there. It's a wonderful building. And
that is something that fit right into the community. It's on the bay, and it takes advantage of the views that are there. And as Freeholder Sheppard said, it has the reading rooms and rooms for computers and programs. So it is a real community library.
And it also has their museum.
Right, the museum is downstairs.
It has Sea Isle's museum, it has a wonderful parking facility. I think it's going to be a great attraction, not only for the year-round residents, but also the tourists that come into Sea Isle. It's quite a draw.
Well, as residents are coming back, second homeowners, which we have many of in Cape May County, and visitors are returning to Sea Isle, that's one of the things they're talking about when they come in and they see the new entrance to Sea Isle and see the library. that it's really a positive for the community.
Yeah, we knew it would be busy, but we had no idea how busy. It's been great.
And I keep saying that to Stone Harbor and Wildwood Crest, and if you build it, they will come. You know, I was active in building the Ocean City Community Center, expanding it when I was on the library board there, and that facility is huge, and people, it's packed day and night, and they just love it. And I think that we have the same feeling, at least in Seattle, and I hope we'll get that in Stone Harbor as well.
Right.
So where do you think we are? How far on before a library is built in Stone Harbor?
The Stone Harbor Council has indicated to us by resolution that they were going to make a decision by July as to a location. Once the location is determined, I don't think, given that we've been through the process with Stone Harbor already, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Deb, because she's my expert, but I would think that it wouldn't take too long to determine what we do inside, because we've already been through the process. And then we'll go out to RFP for an architect and hopefully get something by the end of the year started.
Yeah, that would be our
So in 2013, there should be a new. Right, 2013. Now, also in the borough of Wildwood Crest, there's also plans for a new branch there. Tell us about that.
The Library Commission purchased Masonic Lodge about a block away from the current library. We're going to completely renovate that. We are out to bid for an architect now. Those bids are due May 23rd. So as soon as we get an architect, we're going to start going into that. We have been meeting with a committee from Wildwood Crest. We've met several times already, and we're going to meet more after the architect is picked. They've gotten a lot of great ideas and great input from the Wildwood Crest community on this one.
Now, how important is that Freeholder, Sheppard? You were saying you went out to town meetings and having committees from the communities. It's important that the communities buy into the library.
Absolutely. The library is for the community. It's the community's living room. I've said that before. The community has to be a part of what goes in there, what they want. I mean, certain communities, you know, want certain things, more children's programs, others want more adult programming, some bridge, as we saw. And I think that it's just, you can't have a successful building without the community's input.
So it has each community's personality built into it.
Don't you think? So. Each of our library branches has its own little unique personality.
And this way the community is vested in it and it's successful. And when you talked about, Freeholder Sheppard just mentioned programs, and programs abound at the Cape May County Library, and they continue to grow and change. Tell us about some of the programs you offer and how they are different than the programs of before.
We never had exercise programs up until a couple years ago, and we have Zumba, we've got yoga, we've got a couple other things. The Zumba programs have 50 people coming in, yoga's got 30 to 40 people coming in, and that's for every location that we have it. So they've been enormously popular. We do a lot of nature lectures. Again, the Cape May Bird Observatory has been very, very generous with us. The Wetlands Institute helps out as well. They come in and do some really great talks. I could sit here and tell you things for the next 4 hours.
It's really becoming a learning center. And it's not just book clubs and math clubs, which you have those traditional clubs, but there's game clubs for the teens and movie night and Lego building. And the thing about it, when the Freeholder talks about a learning center, you mentioned exercise. There's also food classes and crafts.
Like culinary classes, there's wine, there's all sorts of things. And what it does, it enriches the entire person, and that's exactly what a library should do. The whole body should be enriched, the mind, the soul, every aspect of it.
And then once they come in for a class on the way out, they probably pick up a book or a CD or a DVD. And with the economy as it is, the library also becomes a place where families can get entertainment, and it's less expensive, where they could take out a DVD or a CD and don't have to pay.
Right, we've seen a lot of that, and especially in the last few years. Our circulation always went up about 5% a year. The last couple of years it's been going up between 8 and 10%. So the usage has grown tremendously. And part of that, I think, is the community. Part of it is the programs. We just have a lot more people walking in the door.
Now, how has technology changed the services you provide and what's done at the library?
It has very much changed reference work. We spend about $120,000 a year on databases, and which most all of those people can use at home from their home computers. So we do a lot of that. We have computer classes several times a month, basic computer classes, how to use email, how to get your computer set up, how to use the internet. And we also do a tremendous amount of job training, how to use Word, how to use Excel. Part of that is from the county, but part of it is a federal grant that we've been working on as well. Next month for the job training classes we have will be from that federal grant.
And you can also download books.
Oh yes, e-books.
You can download e-books from the library. So even if you don't want to go into the library site, if you have a library card, you can download the whole book.
Well, that brought up a whole new part that we're going to talk about when the Freeholder talked about downloading ebooks. That's also the need for that has brought about a new department in the library. Tell us about that.
We're in the process of developing a new department. We had patrons and customers coming in, and they frequently needed help with their ebooks, but then when we got to talking to them, they really needed help with their smartphones, with their iPads. A lot of folks, their kids gave them things for Christmas and they weren't really sure how to use them. So we're developing a whole department that people can come in with their personal technology. We'll help them one-on-one, and we'll also be doing some classes. We do classes right now on how to use your digital camera and then how to do the editing afterwards. We're going to really ramp that up also.
So you're expanding on some of the services you provided before as you saw a need in the community, but helping people with digital cameras, especially with our large senior citizen population. This is a wonderful asset for them.
Yes. Again, that was sort of driven by 2 Christmases in a row. People came in with their Kindles that the kids had given them for Christmas, and we're like, "What's this?" So, we've been really helping a lot of people with that.
So we'll look for that to come out later this summer. We'll have that program in place, and people can learn how to use all the technology they have. But also when we
I'm going to go in.
Yeah, I was going to say we're all going to
go. I got my own iPad. I'm trying to figure out.
Well, when you talked about this, and we mentioned the economy, you know, for people who are looking for jobs or maybe who are out of work and they need training. Some people, older individuals maybe, are not experienced on a computer. This is a way for them to get training. It's not that it's not expensive at all because it's free.
It's free.
And it's in a setting that is friendly.
Yes, there is no pressure when you come in. The classes are 3 or 4 hours. If you need to take them 2, 3, 4 times, it's okay with us. You can just keep coming back. You know, really, that's what we're here for. We want to help people.
And you know, I think in this day and age, with the grandparents trying to communicate with their grandchildren at college or their kids, they have to be computer savvy. And I think that this fills a need that we need to, you know, society needs. You know, and I think that's what the library is supposed to do. It's supposed to fill the void. It's supposed to educate. It's supposed to enrich the whole person.
And it continues to grow. You have programs in the day and in the evening for people who work and can't come. There's programs for adults and for children. We still have the basic book clubs and reading to the children and things like that.
Sure, early childhood literacy is extremely important. And so we have story hours, I think we do 5 a week throughout most of the year, plus we do a lot of other kids book clubs and adult book clubs also, all still very, very popular. It's not like we haven't dropped books.
So it's everything that was offered before at the library, but so much more.
Correct.
And for those who cannot come to the library, we also have a bookmobile. Tell us about that.
The bookmobile goes to some of the communities that do not have a branch library. It also goes to a number of schools and some of the senior centers.
And also those who are homebound and may want books, can they get them also?
Yes, Tuesdays and Fridays every week we have a couple folks that go to people's homes. We'll deliver books, pick up new ones. You know, we will call or ask you what type of books you like, or if there's something specific you want, we will bring that to you.
So there's no reason for anyone to be without a book or any type of entertainment that they want. They can reach out to the library and it can be brought to them.
Absolutely.
Also in this month, in the month of May, you have a lot of special programs going on. It's Appreciation Month. Tell us about that.
Customer Appreciation Week is May 20th through 26th. We're having happy hours, not with adult beverages, but regular beverages, on Mondays and Fridays at every location. There'll be refreshments there. A lot of the local business people have been extremely generous and given us a whole bunch of things to put in gift baskets, so there will be a gift basket given out at every location during that week as well.
And fines are waived usually?
Yes.
So bring back your overdue books.
Yes, that's a good week to sneak in those overdues. That's right.
If someone would like more information about the Cape May County Library, how can they get it?
We have a website, www.cmclibrary.org, or certainly call any of our branch locations and someone will be more than willing to help you.
Okay, thank you for joining us. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll find out about the Cape May County Museum, so please stay with us.
How far would you go to build a kingdom? How far to save a species? To shoot the rapids? To bolt at the speed of lightning? How far would you go to live in another century? To share new discoveries? To make the summer last forever? Your journey begins at njsouthernshore.com, New Jersey's Southern Shore region.
How far would you go to discover a new treasure? How far to stand on the edge of the earth? To step back in time? To be amazed? How far would you go to lower your heart rate? To heighten your senses? To breathe, really breathe? Your journey begins at njsouthernshore.com, New Jersey's Southern Shore region.
Welcome back to the Cape May County Report. I'm Lenora Bonafonte, Cape May County Communications Director, along with Freeholder Vice Director M. Susan Sheppard. And joining us now is Parry Tell, who's the curator of the Cape May County Museum. Thank you for joining us, Parry.
Good evening.
Freeholder Sheppard, as freeholder, you oversee the library, also the museum, the Cape May County Park and Zoo, the tourism department.
I'm so lucky. Aren't I? I have the best
They're
departments.
wonderful departments.
They are.
And with our tourism being our #1 industry, all those departments kind of work together, not only for the residents, but for the visitors who come to Cape May County.
I've been very fortunate, and I got together all of my department heads that are related, and we've met a couple times and we've shared ideas. And one of the ideas that came out of it, I know we just interviewed Debbie with reference to the library, is that the library is helping to fund an event at the Park and Zoo on June 23rd called Move It, Movement, Move It, something like that.
It's the Cartoon Network's Move It, Movement, Move It.
There you go. This will be fun. If we say that 5 times, we have to go. But we're going to have wonderful programming to have children exercise and these obstacle courses and games, and it's going to showcase Cape May County's Park and Zoo on the Cartoon Network, so that's very exciting. And we've also tried to coordinate some events at our museum with our agricultural board, and hopefully we can get that moving, and all my directors have been phenomenal.
Well, it's wonderful when new programs come about from this, and when you host the program on June the 23rd at the Cape May County Park and Zoo, the Cartoon Network's Movement, Move It.
There you go.
It's all about fitness, and at the Park and Zoo there are new trails there now as well where people can learn about healthy food and then also learn about activities to do with their children. So it kind of blends it together.
It sure does.
And when they're done outside with recreation, they could go across the street and visit the Cape May County Museum,
right.
which is housed in the historic Cressy John Holmes house. Tell us about the house itself, because that in itself is history.
Yeah, the property originally was bought by a gentleman named Arthur Cressy, who bought it from the West Jersey proprietors in 1690, and his son John built a house there about 1704, and the property stayed in the family until 1776. When his great-grandson sold it to a gentleman named John Holmes, who had come from Ireland. Now, John Holmes left the Cressy house where it was and built his house across the street, across Route 9. But his son, when he inherited the property, didn't like his father's house. So he added a larger, the Cressy house was 2 rooms, one up and one down. He added a very large federal house across the front, about 1830. So the museum now has 2 pieces to it, the 1704 Cressy house and the 1830 Holmes house. And then it's had a couple little additions since then.
Well, in the museum itself, in the house, you have a number of different period rooms. Tell us about those.
Well, my favorite is the original 1704 kitchen, and we just did a total renovation of that and restoration of that winter a year ago. The county carpenters helped us on that, and it was like the money pit. Every time we went to do one thing, we uncovered something else that had to be addressed. But it now looks like it did in 1704. And then the front part of the house, we have a dining room and a parlor set up with period furniture. Upstairs we have a room that was decorated by the Cape May chapter of the Victorian Society, so it's Victorian. Over the original kitchen we have it set up as the bedroom would have been. That would have been the sleeping chamber for the children. And we have a room called the county room, which has memorabilia and artifacts from all kinds of different things. There's bricks from the Admiral Hotel when it was taken down. There's the Cape May Courthouse original postmaster's desk from 1802. So there's a bunch of different things. The largest Cape May diamond you've ever seen is in there. So it's a bunch of different things in there.
And some of the original maps that are on the
yes,
walls
some of the
are
original
just
maps,
so exciting and neat. A lot of those beach communities were not even
No,
thought of.
Right. We have a map
really
from 1872, which the county's population was still so small that all the property owners are listed on this map. And there's no one listed on any of the islands.
Now, when someone comes to the Cape May County Museum, what will they learn about Cape May County's history, like the earliest settlers?
Well, I think one of the things that people are always surprised about is what the county was like in the earliest days. The first settlers were whalers and farmers. They whaled during spring and fall when the whales were migrating, and the rest of the year they farmed. And then they discovered that the county was loaded with oak and cedar, and they began timbering. So those were the earliest industries in the county, and that they were up until the middle of the 1800s. So there's a very long history of agriculture in the county that a lot of people don't realize until they come to the museum and see all the things that we have. And the maritime history as well is there. We have some whaling artifacts. We have the lighthouse lens from the Cape May Lighthouse, which is almost 7 feet tall, 6 feet in diameter, and literally weighs a ton. And that's always impressive when we flip the lights on in that, and it, you know, you can see how that light would have worked when it was at the top of the lighthouse. So there's a lot of different things that people don't realize because they think Cape May County is about the resorts.
Now,
but you do have some history as you show the transformation of Cape May.
Right, yes,
And
we
which
do,
is really
yes.
kind of cool too.
Yes,
because
it is.
you watch the transformation of Cape May and the presidents and who came there.
Yeah.
And that's really
and when you mention the lens from the lighthouse, and in the barn in the back you have other artifacts from the maritime history. What can people learn about maritime history? And you also have a new exhibit coming.
Yes. Well, in the barn we have whaling implements, but we also have a really nice exhibit of antique decoys, because duck hunting for the markets in Philadelphia was a big industry. And we also have shipbuilding tools and timbering tools, cedar shake shingle making, say that fast 3 times too, was very important. Cape May County provided the original shingles for the Independence Hall in Philadelphia for the roof shingles. So you'll see that, you'll see the shipbuilding tools, you'll see some of the other maritime industries. There are ship models and things like that in the barn. And then we do have new exhibits. Over the summer we're going to have an exhibit on the agricultural history of Cape May County, and in the museum we also will be featuring summertime dresses from the Victorian and Edwardian eras, and they will be throughout the museum.
Now you also have a lecture series that continues in the month of May, on May the 9th and also May the 16th. That's all on the maritime history.
Yes, we focus, each year we have a lecture series and we try to pick a different theme, and this year it was our maritime heritage. So on May the 9th, a gentleman named Angelo Ragazio is going to come, and he's going to talk about the lighthouses that are up the Delaware Bay, such as Brandywine Light. And he's a very interesting person. He was the last lighthouse keeper for the Harbor of Refuge Light over on the Delaware side, so he's going to bring his uniform and some of his own memorabilia. And then on the 16th, Rich Shemengo from the Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts is going to talk about the history of the lighthouses in New Jersey, but in particular Cape May's lighthouse, and the one standing there, which is from 1859. It was the 3rd documented lighthouse there. So he's going to talk about that history, and he's a very interesting speaker as well.
Now, when you think about the history of Cape May County, of course, when you see all the different street signs and the names of the streets, they're also related to history. When you see Hand Avenue and different ones, you have a Founders Day coming up in the month of June. Tell us about that.
Well, Founders Day is to celebrate the early history of the county, and it originally started as we kind of were envisioning a giant family reunion for all these early family descendants, but so many other people expressed an interest that it's really open to everyone. On Friday afternoon, the county clerk's office always does a program, and this year it's going to be on the 13-year debate where to locate the county seat. It was in Courthouse, and the idea was to move it to the two busiest towns in the county, which were Dennisville and Goshen at the time.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, yeah. Until a doctor pointed out how much it would cost to move it, so you know the ending of the story. As I say, you know how the story ends. Come see how it began. And then on Saturday we have a series of lectures and workshops. There's a genealogy workshop. There's a lecture on how the Barrier Islands were formed. There's one on our Dutch heritage that gets lost because of the Anglicization of the Dutch names. And then we're having a workshop on, when you read an old deed, it'll say it goes from the cedar tree at the corner of Mr. Leeming's property to the oak tree at the corner of Mr. Hildreth. And of course, Mr. Leeming, Mr. Hildreth, and the trees are gone. So how do you plot that deed and figure out, you know, where it was? And then that night we have a good time, old-time South Jersey barbecue with barbecued chicken and steamed clams and corn on the cob and Jersey tomatoes, of course, and the whole bit.
So that will take place on June 22nd and June 23rd.
Right.
And when you talk about you know, the history, some people like to trace where they came from. They can also do that at the library.
Yes.
The genealogical library at the museum. Tell us how that works.
That Saturday afternoon it'll be open for 2 hours, and there will be people there to help. But the rest of the year it's open Wednesday through Friday from 10 o'clock until 4, and you can come in anytime, and our genealogist and our librarian will be happy to help you trace your roots. We can go back farther than Cape May County because we have books on the genealogy of where our original settlers came from, Long Island and New England. So we can help you go back even farther than that. We'll help you do genealogy charts. We have all kinds of family histories and family trees located there, family genealogical files located there in the library. So it's really a wealth of information on family histories, as well as other subjects on Cape May County history.
Now, Freeholder, you've worked to bring all the entities located in Cape May Courthouse together, the museum, the Naylor House, the Cape May County Park and Zoo, and you're planning to, your idea was for a farmer's market also in July and August at the museum.
That was one of the ideas that the department heads really had when we sat down together. They're just so wonderful, wealth of knowledge and great ideas. And one of the ideas was to bring some of the agricultural, some of our local farmers, and they have a wonderful backyard. I guess is the best description. Is they have a wonderful backyard or side to their museum, and we thought we could put produce there. So it would be a great idea.
So we'll be looking for that, the farmers market in July and August.
We're working on that now, trying to get it together.
Right now, if someone likes to visit the museum, the hours of the museum?
The museum is open Wednesday through Saturday at 10 o'clock, opens at 10, and the last tour is at 2 in the afternoon.
And the cost to go to the museum?
Is free.
Is free. So come to the Cape May County Museum because it is free, and we'll look for more events coming up. Thank you for joining us. And for more information about everything we talked about today, visit capemaycountygov.net. Until next time, I'm Lenora Bonafonte. Thank you for joining us on the Cape May County Report.